not funny. We shouldn't laugh, but it's true.
No, but we can laugh, because if I don't laugh, I'll cry.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Bulletin. My name is Francis Leach.
And I'm Kleo Cruse.
Now, coming up on this particular edition, Sally McManus talks to us about the importance of pandemic leave payments continuing. And Philip Lowe, the Reserve Bank Governor, finally admits what we've always known, that profits are going up and wages are going down. But first, Kleo, you're a bit late today and looking a bit stressed.
So just copped a $1,630 electricity bill for the quarter.
What are you doing? Running a hydroponics garden?
No, I'm actually not, surprisingly. I'm actually just trying to heat myself and my family. Yeah.
Oh, wow. $1,600 for 3 months.
Everything runs off electricity in our household, so hot water, cooking, everything.
Now, I made a joke about it, but this is serious. And your experience is emblematic of the cost of living crisis people are facing. So this is $1,600 for 3 months of heating.
That's correct.
And you're just trying to live your life as normal on the same wage. And what do you reckon, it's tripled your bill?
Yeah, 100% tripled the bill. Yep. Easily, because it's a cold winter. What am I supposed to do? I've got an 18-month-old at home. Like, I have to keep her warm.
Absolutely.
or she'll whinge about it,
And rightfully so.
And she doesn't actually pay anything towards it. It's rude.
Got to send her out to work. No, in all seriousness, no, this is an indication of just the sort of situation that working people are facing right across the country, particularly those on lower incomes who aren't getting enough work, who are struggling to pay the bills, and we see that they're having to make real difficult decisions around how they spend their money, whether they can afford basic essential items.
Yep, and this is, I've said it before, I'll say it again, we're on a fair wage, my partner and I, and we're still feeling it. $1,630 that we've had to get the electricity company to help us with by pushing back the due date. I don't know if you can call that help. It seems a bit... It's a bit of a euphemism for we're stealing from you.
Yeah, crisis delay. But it does feed into our
first topic.
It does, because Philip Lowe, the Reserve Bank Governor, was speaking to the Economics Review Committee in Parliament this week, and he basically admitted what we've been talking about all along, that wages continue to flatline, in fact go down in real terms, but profits as a share of the economy, gross domestic product, the GDP, continue to increase. So that gap is widening like this, and your lived experience is an example of the consequence of that.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's fair to say for once we a little bit agree with the RBA Governor, Phil Lowe, that he said basically to not gouge on profit margins.
To what?
What? So, really? Okay, if the RBA is saying
I want to see that in writing from that guy.
No. I feel like if he's saying this, we've got a real problem on our hands, guys.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely right. And we've been talking about this all along. In fact, that's been the argument that Australian unions have been making right throughout the increasing momentum behind inflation. Now, so let me just break this down a bit. So what he talked about here was the fact that as a share of GDP, profits are going up, wages are flatlining, and the share means that increasingly it's impossible for people to pay for their goods and services that they need. And inflation is often, the lazy journalists in the mainstream media will often say, it's wage pressure that creates inflation. But the truth is, wages are flatlining. Inputs, so the cost of the things you need to make goods and services, obviously are up because supply chain issues, so it's hard to get stuff. And profits are going up. So it's inputs and profits that are forcing inflation up, not wages. Wages are the thing that is suffering, and that means that you are suffering trying to keep your baby born.
We all are.
But not everyone's struggling to pay their bills.
No. So the incumbent chief executive of Australia's top 20 companies enjoyed a pay rise averaging 17.16% over the past year, which is more than 9 times the average raise received by ordinary full-time workers.
Something is wrong about that.
Yeah, that's pretty skewed.
It is pretty skewed. And I mean, it all sort of fits the pattern as well when you look at the level of insecure work in this country. So the percentage of people in the Australian economy that work in more than one job is about 6% of the economy. In the United States, it's about 4%. So we've got more people in insecure work in Australia than they do even in the land of free capitalism in the United States, which means that people can't get together and organise to bargain. Join your union. That helps. But join it now. do it now. And that means that, it's hard. If you're in lots of little jobs, you maybe 2 hours here, 3 hours there.
Yeah, you don't feel like you have agency. You don't have power. You can't go to your boss when they can just cut your shifts like that arbitrarily.
So that makes it hard.
Yeah, it does make it very difficult.
You're not going to get that 19% pay rise by joining a union, you might, but not by being in lots of insecure work. One of the other things that we should talk about is paid pandemic leave, because the pandemic is not over.
No. And Sally McManus was on News Breakfast talking about the importance of keeping paid pandemic leave for as long as we have isolation laws.
If you're not going to get paid leave, the chances are you're going to need to choose between, paying your bills and not. And so people always choose to pay their bills first. And that's not a good thing for workplaces, for employers either, if you're spreading sickness at work. So it opens up a much bigger question about how many people actually don't have paid leave. So even if we're talking about the flu, right? So people go to work and spread the flu. If you've got 1 in 3 workers, you don't get paid leave at all. So casuals plus all the extra, forms of insecure work. I think that's a problem for our country that we hopefully are going to address now.
I mean, it goes without saying that we should have paid pandemic leave for the meantime, because the pandemic's not actually over, and we've got a lot of... Yeah, believe it or not. And even though we've stopped hearing the numbers, it's still forcing people to stay at home, and they're not going to isolate if they're not going to get paid.
Absolutely, and that's why, and the Albanese government has agreed with this, as have the state governments, because I think they've learnt from the first couple of years of the pandemic that if you don't give people a chance to stay home and get well, it just folds into the next wave of infection. So that's a good thing. But who got you that paid pandemic leave, Kleo?
The unions.
It
was a union brainchild.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's not forget that.
That's why you should join your union.
Do you remember, it was so funny when Scott Morrison claimed that JobKeeper was like one of his finest moments? That was also a union brainchild, by the way, everyone.
He didn't have any finest moments, by the way.
He really didn't.
That's a lie right there.
I feel like we're still in the wake of that poor response to the pandemic. Early days, no vaccines, no PPE, no rats.
What fun.
And it was good times, wasn't it? And yeah, so the unions, another brainchild of the unions was the paid pandemic leave. And Sally actually does mention how workers aren't going to stay at home if they can't afford to feed their families. And they're not actually bad people for that, no? Like, it's the morals are... It's a little moralistic to say people should stay at home if they're sick without actually having a think about how they're going to pay for everything.
And also they're the people that will drive your buses, fill your supermarket shelves.
Look after your elderly.
Exactly, all of those jobs that need to get done. So that is one positive that continues to resonate from the work that Australian unions have done in this pandemic period. Kleo, I better let you go and buy one of those exercise bikes so you can pedal it really fast to power your house.
I don't even want to think about it. Oh, going home to that freezing cold house.
Okay, what should people do?
Join your union, but also like, subscribe, share, all that. We've got this cool new background because this is
actually Cleo's lounge room. This is
yeah, we're just chilling in my house right now.
It's cold.
It's freezing. It's really cold. No, yeah, we've actually been setting this up because we're loving doing the bulletin and bringing it to you every week, and we'd love to see you around. So yeah,
AustralianUnions.org.au, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.